What's up, everybody? This is Dallin Camlin. We are back with you today. We're talking about pivoting in life. Maybe right now you need to make a big change in your life, or you need to just kind of change a little bit of things. You need to make a tiny little pivot that can make a giant difference for you in the long term perspective. I'm going to be talking about three different reasons why you may need to be pivoting right now. One is that you feel stuck, two is that you feel stressed, three is that you don't like the long view of what you're doing right now. As always, if you love the podcast like I do, definitely follow the podcast. Going to get a lot more interviews and fun perspectives on life out here to help you with your self care, business journey, and overall life journey. I was going to do an interview on today. I was going to upload an interview today, but I dropped the ball and I apologize for that. And we'll be uploading that on this upcoming Thursday instead. So make sure you don't miss that. So make sure you don't miss out on that. It will be a good time. Number one is just that you feel stuck. Maybe you were going down this path and you enjoyed it, and now all of a sudden you've kind of hit this wall, or maybe you just don't like where it's going. You just don't you just maybe it's like easy to make progress at first, and now you just don't feel very good about it. Maybe you just feel like you've kind of reached your peak and you need to find another mountain to climb. Maybe that's the case. You feel like you're kind of retreading the same ground over and over. So maybe it could be stuck, like you don't feel like you're growing, or just that you're completely stuck and not making any progress. I think there's a couple different things, because sometimes if you're stuck, you do need to like get help and figure it out, and a pivot's not necessarily needed. Then there's other times when you need to just kind of look at yourself and be like, is this what I really wanted? Is this what I wanted when I started out on this venture? And if you've kind of gotten what you need, if you've made the connections, if you've satisfied your curiosity at that point, maybe that's a good time to pivot away. And doesn't mean you're completely turning away, but you're kind of pivoting away from that thing for a time. And for me, I've seen this of like with doing different YouTube channels. It's like, okay, I've tried this out. I've figured it out. I've had a good time, but I feel like I am kind of retreading the same ground over and over. It's not as fulfilling. It's not as useful. I feel kind of stuck in that. I would make more progress investing this time, this money, this life into something better, into something that's going to like open a door to some other untapped part of my potential. So that's number one. You feel stuck. Number two is that you feel stressed. Maybe just thinking about working on that thing or working in your job or whatever just causes you stress and anxiety. Recently, my classes, man, oh my goodness, I am ready for this semester to be over because I get stressed about the stress that I'm having for these classes. It's like, oh my goodness, it's just a bit of a struggle. It's like I feel like I'm going to get the right answer, then I get it wrong, and I'm like, oh, we're going to have to spend a lot of time just to figure this out. In basketball, when you get stuck, when you are trying to pivot, it's because you maybe backed into a corner, or you were going to pass it to a teammate, but then you're like, you picked up your dribble, and so you have to hold the ball, you have to do something. And you're just kind of stuck. You don't know what to do. Nobody's coming to your rescue. You're just kind of hanging out there. You might even like bring the ball kind of low and try to taunt your opponent, but you can't really do much unless you pivot, change your direction, change where you're going, change your overall vision, because where you're looking is going to influence a lot of where you end up going. And I think that's such a simple concept, but it's also really important as well. And so stress is kind of one of those. Stress, I think, is a pretty good indicator that what you're doing is probably not the best thing for you and your overall health. You know, with some of my jobs that I've had in the past, maybe they had some stress, but it's generally good stress, and you had the stress release too at different points from accomplishing different things, booking somebody, whatever it was, and that goes away. That gets replaced. But if the stress isn't going away, and then you genuinely feel that what you're doing and you genuinely feel that what you're doing right now is not really helping you out, it's just kind of stressing you out, might be a good time to make a pivot. And the nice thing is, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to change all that stuff. Honestly, just getting out a piece of paper, maybe writing a letter to yourself, like Stuart Edge did, or just kind of reevaluating where you're at, all that can be really helpful. Even just changing like a couple things about how you go about your work could be good. Maybe writing a blog about what you're learning. Just doing something so you see your work differently. You got to do something to see your work differently. Again, like with the pivot, changing how you see the situation, because somehow you got stuck, somehow you got stressed, and maybe you can talk with your boss about it. All those things can go a long way. Number 3 is just you don't like the long view. I think this is one I really vibe a lot with right now. A lot of the people I follow on LinkedIn, they've recently exited their companies that they started. Like, hey, you know what? I gotta move on. I gotta do something else. Time is so stinking precious, and we never get it back. And I've honestly felt this a lot recently. It's like, I have had a good time with these other things, and I could milk the cow a little bit longer, but I probably need another cow. We gotta move on. We gotta move on, We gotta change this up. If I really want to get to where I want to get to in the long-term future, then I gotta change up my next couple steps. And that's okay. It shows that you know where you're going, or at least that you have confidence in where you're going, or you have thought about where you're going. So if something all of a sudden doesn't vibe, it doesn't connect, it doesn't bring the same fulfillment, and you just can't see yourself doing it forever. I mean, a lot of times this is easy. Like with working a fast food job, you don't want to do that forever. At some point, you're going to pivot away from working at Chick-fil-A, and there's nothing. I have so much respect for people that work fast food. One of my roommates, he's working at Arby's, wakes up early. I have so much respect for him. Nate, you're the GOAT, dude. You're the man. But at some point, you gotta take these pivots, because not only in business, but just for anybody that wants to make that growth happen and control it, you need to be able to control your pivoting. And there's the pivoting foot. There's all these things in basketball that we could somehow bring it back into this, and it'd be a lot of fun. But basically, a lot of it comes down to balance and just getting into a better vision for where you're facing in the immediate moment. Where's your next step? And if you can figure that out, it'll help you to know what pivot you should make. And it could be something really small, maybe just changing how you talk to a client, changing how you do your morning routine. Any of that stuff could really help you with pivoting towards your best self and pivoting towards self-care, pivoting towards all that good stuff to help you get to where you want to go. So those are the 3 things. 1 is you feel stuck. 2 is you feel stressed. 3 is you don't like the long view of what you're doing. As always, I hope that this podcast was helpful for you, and that it's helping you to live your best life, helping you to be a more loving and helpful individual for yourself and also other people. And definitely leave a review if it is helping you do that. And as always, I'm here to serve and help out. So let me know how I can do that for you. I'd really appreciate that. And thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you on Thursday with that interview. Thank you again. Don't forget to yield today, and it will be a better tomorrow.